Hello and welcome back to my channel where I like to have fun with all things beauty while being critical about what I accept into my collection. Today is a prioritizing new makeup releases video. So as a really quick disclaimer, I wanted to apologize for the audio in my last video. I know that it was really hard to listen to, and I've spent all morning trying to mess with different settings, but I think I just need a new microphone. Unfortunately, when I move this back at a reasonable distance, you can't hear me. So I really do need to speak directly into the microphone, and I don't know what I'm doing with any of this. I don't know what I'm doing with the lighting. I don't know what I'm doing with the sound. I can barely use the camera. So really wanted to apologize for that because I know it can be hard to listen to, and I do absolutely want to fix it as soon as physically possible. So I will be researching microphones this week, and hopefully I can do something about that soon. The reason I'm not waiting for that, the reason I dropped everything to film today despite the technical difficulties, was the fact that we got a really exciting leak about the new Lightworks palette from DANESSA MYRICKS. I was on Instagram this morning, and my friend Just Gem, who is on YouTube and Instagram, I'll link her stuff down below. You should absolutely follow her. Her content is amazing. She forwarded me the stories from a creator called Lynn's Makeup Looks, who I believe is primarily on TikTok. I've actually followed her for a very long time. I just don't feel like I'm that familiar with her, so I definitely wasn't seeing her stories. So the fact that she sent that to me, I was thrilled because I never would have seen it otherwise. And so far, she's the only creator that I've seen talk about this. I'm a little bit afraid by the time I actually edit this video, we're probably going to have official images. So it probably would have been more economical for me to wait for those and make a video including all of the actual marketing images, but I couldn't help myself because this is my new mothership. I haven't been excited about a mothership since Moonlit Seduction because once we stopped getting the special shades, they really stopped being special in my collection. What took its place, though, were these Lightwork palettes. And while I always liked them, the formula in them wasn't always the easiest to work with. However, I believe they've gotten better, at least from my perspective. They've gotten better every single year, with the one from last year being absolutely phenomenal. These multi-chrome and duochrome formulas are among the best in my entire makeup collection. So I love this palette so much. This has fully replaced all of the excitement that I used to get for the mothership. So this is my #1 palette. When I reviewed this last year, and I'll link that review down below, I don't think this is available anymore, but in case you're interested, I really went out of my way to swatch this on its own and on top of different bases. I also combined a bunch of shades so you could kind of see what you could do with this, how versatile it could be, that kind of thing. But I loved this so much. I knew that the next year's Lightwork palette, I was just going to pick up. I didn't need to see it. I was just going to pick it up on launch pretty much no matter what. And that was really reinforced with the palette that came out this past spring, the little 6-pan, the pastel. That was beautiful too, and I loved the matte formula. So this next Lightworks palette has literally been on my list since last year. However, I haven't heard anything about it, and people were even starting to speculate that maybe we got the sticks instead and we were going to skip a Lightwork. She was only going to release the smaller palettes. Nobody really knew what was going on. So when Lynn in her stories said that this palette arrived at her house, she had no idea it was coming, and nobody told her really anything about the palette. So she contacted the brand, and she said DANESSA MYRICKS herself told her that it was okay to go ahead and post about it. Which is weird, by the way. I want to take a second and acknowledge the fact that that whole thing, the whole way this went down, is a little bit bizarre. So I'm assuming that we are going to get some more images from her soon. I keep looking on TikTok. I keep checking because I really want to see a few more images. If when I'm editing, I still don't have those, I'm going to post some screen grabs. I'm not going to post her stories because I just feel weird about that. I feel like those are not meant to be shared, and she's a really big creator, so I can't exactly ask. So I'm gonna opt to not do that. I will link her stuff in my description box, and I want to give her all of the credit in the world for this, but I also want to be respectful and not share content before she is ready for it to sort of hit the public beyond her Instagram stories. Anyway, aside from that, I am happy to report that I am thrilled with what I see. This is a much more neutral and muted color story story overall, and I'm okay with that because I have a bunch of Lightworks at this point and I have a lot of colors. What I don't have is more muted shades, and I certainly don't have a lot of mattes. So if anything, this makes this a lot more useful. I was thinking about it earlier, and palettes like this, they're companion palettes. I don't like all shimmer looks, so I'm always going to need to grab a matte palette in order to really get an eye look that I'm gonna like. The same thing is not true for all matte palettes. I can use an all matte palette by itself, but I can't use an all shimmer palette by itself. So the fact that this has both, and it's in this super convenient travel packaging, I'm thrilled. At the end of the day, I'll probably end up using this more, even though it's a little bit less exciting than last year's release from a color perspective. Kind of glad we got something a little bit different to round the collection out. One thing that Lynn pointed out that I thought I would mention is when I look at the selection of shades here, one of the ones that I'm most excited about is the one on the right hand side on the bottom, that blue iridescent type of shade. That looks really fun. And something that Lynn pointed out that is actually one of the first things that I thought of as well was how it did remind her a little bit of the Blend Bunny Cyborg shade from the Machina palette. This one has a little bit of a pink shift to it, which I'm not sure if this one from DANESSA has, but regardless, it's absolutely stunning. It looks like it's glowing. I haven't pulled this one out in a while, but even on the eyes, it looks like it glows in the dark. It is so pretty. So I'm really excited to see that included, and this palette just looks fantastic. No notes, I'm getting it at launch. Okay, now I'm going to quickly talk about some of the other indie releases that have happened over the past few days. It feels a little bit overwhelming. There has been a lot, and I know I'm personally having to prioritize things. I have to be realistic, and when I look at my collection, it is not about acquiring new shades anymore. I have just about every shade that is possible, and if I don't, I could mix things and make them. So palettes kind of need to deliver something a little bit more than that. It needs to be innovative packaging, like the DANESSA MYRICKS, innovative formula, also like the DANESSA MYRICKS, beautiful packaging like the Nomad, and color stories that make sense and let me think outside the box, help me be more creative so that I don't have to reach for multiple palettes. I want to see the artistic thought behind it, the curation of the color story. That really matters to me a lot these days as well. And yeah, those are some of the things that I'm going to be thinking about this year as I look at these releases. To get it out of the way, I already bought the Nomad palette. Pacific Northwest, it is beautiful. I don't think I needed it, but it is gorgeous. And I'm genuinely at the point with Nomad where I pick up almost every release, because it is affordable to me. If I had to pay for shipping internationally, I don't think I would, because I don't think their formula warrants that. I think if I lived outside the US, I would wait for Black Friday and I would get a bunch of their palettes at once. They also have really good sales, and for that reason alone, I probably should have waited because those sales are right around the corner. But I did what I did, so I'm going to review that at some point. This palette has the canvas design like the Fuji palette. I don't think the camera does it justice. You can't really appreciate this unless you see it in real life, but it's gorgeous. I love that they did that again, and I think this theme is beautiful. What I didn't like was how quickly it came after Salem. I wanted a few more weeks, just like 2 more weeks even, between releases, just so we could have a little bit more time. It also would have been better for people who are international, who don't want to wait till the end of the year. I think shipping for them is something crazy like $25. So now they have to pay $50 in shipping if they want both palettes. That just sucks. It's only a couple weeks. If they couldn't wait, I wish they would have at least said something, the way Gourmande Girls did. So Gourmande Girls is about to release Nevermore, and it came on the heels of Trapped. But when Trapped came out, they made an announcement letting people know that another palette was about to be released so people could plan ahead. That to me is respecting your customers, and I appreciate that. I guess ultimately I would appreciate more distance between releases more, but at the very least they let people know. So anyway, I guess I'll talk about the Gourmande Girls one next, the Nevermore palette. Honestly, when I look at that compared to Trapped, I should have gotten Nevermore. I should not have picked this one up. Not that it isn't beautiful, but these are just not my best colors. So from purely a use case perspective, this was not a sound purchase. This was an impulse buy. So again, not about the formula. If this is your color story, you will not be disappointed. Just for me personally, it wasn't the best decision. The Nevermore palette I will be skipping on. I think it's gorgeous. I love the theme. I love Edgar Allan Poe. I love Wednesday. I think it's so much fun, and the duochrome, multi-chromes are beautiful, but it's not going to make the cut. At the end, I'm going to go through and I'm going to rank things and talk about what I am prioritizing and what I'm skipping. I'm only really even talking about the things that I'm interested in. I'm not even bothering to include all the things that I'm skipping out on because I need to make this video on the shorter side. But even at the top, choices need to be made. So I'm discussing that here today, and hopefully that's somewhat helpful if you're in the same boat. Another release that I'm skipping is the new Fantasy Cosmetica and Beaute Bean collab. I love Fantasy Cosmetica, and the cover artwork on this is phenomenal. I think Beaute Bean did a beautiful job curating this. It's unique. It stands out. Formula is fantastic. There is nothing bad about this palette. I just can't buy it right now. And honestly, when Black Friday rolls around, everything could change. I could get all of these palettes that I'm skipping on now. But unfortunately, this one doesn't make the cut. I'm a little sad because I've seen some people review this palette and come up with some really unique and beautiful looks. But when I look at the swatches, I know that I could do most of it. That greeny teal color is quite unique, but I know I could dupe the rest, so I need to walk away. Another skip is going to be the Dark Dreamscape collection from Beaute Bar. Okay, well, now that I see the multi-chrome swatched out on their own, holy cow, that's hard to walk away from, but I have to because I don't have time to use all of these shadows. And honestly, I'm also kind of at the point with multi-chromes and duochromes. I have so many. I'm like, how many more shifts are there? And if they are they unique for the sake of being unique? Or do they not exist for a reason? Because you don't really want to put them on your eyes? And if they are different but similar to other things, would you ever be able to tell the difference when they're actually on your eyes? Probably not. In my personal experience, probably not. So I'm going to have to walk away from this one as well. Probably the easiest skip on this list is this Rotten palette from Blend Bunny. I have a ton of respect for the creator, and Just Gem in her last new makeup video, which I'll link down below, shows this palette rearranged, and seeing it like that made me see how this could be more useful than it looks here. But even so, I know that I won't use these colors. They're just not flattering on my skin tone, so I like the formula, but I'm going to pass that up. I'm going to pass up the mini shimmer palette as well because I have to. The lip gloss looks really cool, but I know I'm not going to use that enough either, so I would need to maybe get that on sale. Maybe that's something I could get on sale. And finally, the last two palettes I'm going to talk about are the two that I'm most likely going to actually pick up. The first one on my list is Crown Legacy from Glaminatrix. Glaminatrix is my favorite formula. However, when I look at this swatched out, I know that the more neutral tones are probably the ones that I'm going to use the most in this palette. And because of that, I already have these from Glaminatrix. Because they're my favorite brand, I have a lot of palettes from them, and I have a lot of palettes that cover the neutrals. Therefore, I know for a fact I'm not going to use the rest of these shimmers enough, as beautiful as they are, for this to really be worth it. That's the reason I didn't pick this palette up already. I was also really waiting to see what else was released because so much is coming at us right now. I kind of wanted to get a lay of the land, take a breath, and make a list. So this was on my list, and it's still on my list, and I may pick it up. I'm just not 100% there yet, but I absolutely want it. The other palette on my list is the one just released from Singe Beauty. Again, I think they have a beautiful formula, and this being a more neutral palette, I could see myself having an easier time coming up with looks. I have their other two palettes, and I have to be honest, I don't reach for these a lot because it takes me so long to figure out what I'm going to do. Even with a Gate Temptation, which I used yesterday to refresh my mind on the formula, I probably stood in my bathroom for a good 5 minutes just staring at this, being like, what am I going to do? And then what I end up doing is the one look that I always do with this palette, which is mainly featuring these two shades right here and almost nothing else. I have about 3 or 4 go-to looks from this palette, but I have one that I use more than anything else. And I think just because of that, I end up forgetting that these even exist in my collection. So for that reason, I am putting this a little bit on pause. Although I love Angeshka, and I will probably end up picking this up on Friday when she announces the launch, and she's so excited. excited and I'm going to be so excited, whatever. It's like, it's affordable enough that I can live with it, but I also know that these tones aren't exactly my tones. She has a golden undertone, so I think these mustard shades look beautiful on her. They look pretty awful on me though. I don't like the way they look on my skin. So there's a lot of undertones happening in this palette that I know aren't going to be ideal on me. There are also some cool shades. She does do a good job of always including a good variety, but still, I know it's not my perfect color story. The other thing I wanted to quickly mention, when I first saw this palette released, my head went immediately to the new Makeup by Mario. When I actually put them side by side, they're not actually that similar. Obviously, the Singe Beauty one is a lot more colorful, but I wanted to just mention that in case anybody else had the same thought. I'm definitely skipping the Makeup by Mario because I have the first Ethereal As palette. I love it, but I'm good now. I don't need anything else. I like that palette enough that I'm very happy that I picked it up, but I knew I didn't need the one after that, and I certainly don't need this one either. It's not my colors. I wouldn't discourage anybody else from picking that up though, because the shimmers are really beautiful if you like those tones. So that's it for this exact moment in time. It is almost 4 o'clock on Tuesday, September 30th, and I guarantee by the time I put this up, there will be more. Those are all the indie eyeshadow palettes pulling on my heartstrings right now. But obviously, I can't see everything. So let me know down below. Is there anything else that you're looking at? I know that DD Signature is about to announce a release, and my mind is blanking. I think there's at least one other indie brand that's about to come out with something too. Do you have a list of priority makeup right now, or do you have self-control, unlike me, and you're just gonna wait till Black Friday? Oh, that's gonna be here before we know it. But anyway, I would love to hear what you think down below. I'm happy to say that what's not on this list is pretty much any of the luxury holiday releases that I've seen so far this year. Something about the packaging on those just does not read luxury to me. I don't know what it is, but I am very grateful because I think the only thing that I've seen other than the Dolce & Gabbana palettes that I really want is the Dior sequin lip, which is completely silly for me because I have so many sparkly lip glosses. The last thing I need is a version of that dries my lips out, but you activate it by pressing your lips together. That's when you see the sparkles, and there's just the child in me just needs to have that. So far, that's the only thing really calling my name from the luxury end of things. Everything else is an easy pass, and I'm also starting to get my Sephora list together. That starts on October 31st, as it's been speculated. Probably midway through October is when I'll come out with my Sephora video. It's probably going to be less involved this year, just because I don't have the time that I did last year to put into these videos. Unfortunately, I will link them in my next Sephora video. But anyway, I also want to wait for more releases to come out so that my wish list is more up to date, but that will be coming soon. So I guess I'll include a very quick life update. My dog, who has been sick since June, is stable at this point. Things can change very quickly, so I don't want to say anything with too much confidence, but for right now, she is stable. We're still going through the process of going to the vet every few weeks and lowering her medication, but that seems to be going okay. Now she's having horrible stomach problems, which is definitely not helping her recovery, but it's still a lot better than what she was going through. She has an autoimmune disease, immune-mediated polyarthropathy, which is her body attacking itself and causing catastrophic inflammation. So I don't for a second take for granted where we are from where we came, but we do still have a long way to go, and I'm not quite at the point yet where I can fully focus all of my free time on YouTube. I'm still kind of treading water, and I know I'm not the only one because even though I'm going through this, I think a lot of other people are feeling this way just because the entire world feels so incredibly unstable right now. That's a really difficult thing to try to cope with for anybody who cares anyway. Thoughtful, caring people are not okay, and I would much rather be in that camp, but it can make doing stuff like this a little more difficult than it would otherwise be. So if you can relate to that, I see you, I hear you, and I care about you. I hope you're taking care of yourself right now. I love you so much. And also a genuine thank you for being here, watching my content, putting up with all of my technical issues and not knowing what I'm doing on YouTube. I appreciate that more than I could ever say. I don't know when my next video will be, but I wanted to absolutely get that message out. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Anyway, once again, I hope you're having a beautiful day or night wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one.